One Piece Film Red. Let's talk about it, man. I have a take regarding this movie that might be deemed controversial, it may be deemed stupid, it may be deemed outright preposterous by some, and you know what? That's okay. Because not everybody is going to agree with the truth. Not everybody can see the truth. But regardless, I'm going to share this truth with all of you good people. One Piece Film Red has a legitimate contender of being the best One Piece movie ever. And before, slow down, don't attack me, okay? Let me explain. This is not the post-film high. This is not me writing the hype in the adrenaline of this movie. I seen Film Red about 2-3 days ago, so I've had all the time in the world to process this, really let it sink in before I come to this conclusion. I remember when Film Red was announced early on in the year, and the all of the promotional material was Shanks. The freaking logo had Shanks' eye scar going through it. The very first teaser we had was featuring red-haired Shanks. But as time went on and we learned more and more about this movie, it became apparent, it became abundantly clear that this was not going to be a movie centered entirely around red-haired Shanks. And I'm going to be honest with you, that was a bit disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I felt catfished, I felt bamboozled, I felt lied to, I felt led astray. But I still chose to go into this movie with an open mind. I am not the biggest fan of musicals. The singing, the dancing, a lot of it is just not for me. Okay, but One Piece Film Red, man, my mind was blown because I thoroughly and genuinely enjoyed what I seen from this movie. If you go into this expecting it to be Stampede 2.0, if you go into this expecting fan service galore, you're going to leave that movie theater a very unhappy camper. You're going to be sick to your stomach because that's not the purpose of this film at all. This movie places a very heavy emphasis on singing and dancing. Literally, in the first 15 minutes of Film Red, we are treated to 3 different scores. And these songs are good. My hat, I'm tipping my imaginary fedora to Ado, the voice actor, the Japanese singer for Uta, because she killed it, bro. She did the damn thing. I don't think they could have found a better casting choice than Ado. Me and my girl, who I went to go see the movie with, we were in this movie theater jamming, having the time of our lives because it literally felt like a concert. The dancing choreography was great. There was some CG thrown in there and it was a little bit obvious at times, but it didn't hurt the experience whatsoever. It added to it, if anything. This is a fantastic movie, and even just beyond the music aspect of it, this is a movie that you can tell there was a great deal of care and passion put into. This movie doesn't feel like a cash grab like anime movies of past years. This movie feels like it's One Piece in so many ways. The character writing, the plot. Toei hit a home run with this movie. And if this is the type of movies they're going to be putting out going forward, I need more of this. Give me more of this. This is good stuff. I have the highest level of praise for Film Red. The plot of this movie is very straightforward, very simple, very easy to digest. Shanks has a bastard daughter who grows up and becomes the world's most popular idol, and lo and behold, she just so happens to be in possession of a double fruit that's far more powerful than it has any right to be. And this naturally attracts the attention of big players that we know and love. CP0, Sword, the Navy, all of whom make lengthy appearances in this movie. Uta as a character, she's great, man. I adore her, and that's kind of shocking to me. Uta is one of the more fleshed out movie original characters in my opinion. She doesn't feel shallow and she isn't treated as some damsel in distress either. After this movie ended, I felt a little sad that Film Red could very well be the last time we see any of her in One Piece media, although I surely hope that is not the case here. Her arc throughout this film is the central focus of the plot. Uta grew up in solitude, so it is through her music through her dancing where she finds purpose and friends. Now, I don't know how closely Oda worked on this movie, but it is an oddly captivating story. Uta herself isn't a bad person, and despite her basically being the main antagonist, seldom does she feel like a villain. She is just a troubled young woman who is out to usher in a new era of peace for all, even if the way she's going about it is completely insane. I really did like Uta, and I'm hoping she makes a reappearance in the canon story at some point or another. I do appreciate that Film Red isn't stacked to the gills with fan service like Stampede was. Not that I'm complaining about the influx of characters we got in Stampede, but it makes it all the more special when somebody you didn't expect to see shows up. Questionable though it may be, it was a pleasant surprise to get Brule, Oven, and Katakuri in this movie. Now, they didn't do much of anything. In fact, you can take them out, replace them with any three characters of your choice, and the plot doesn't change in the slightest. But still, it was really good to see them. It's been forever, it feels like. The animation and art of One Piece Film Red was spectacular. This movie is eye candy at the highest level, and if you do not go see this in theaters, don't pirate this movie. Go see this in theaters in IMAX if possible. If you don't go see this in theater, you are doing yourself a great disservice because wow, man, everything just looks so damn good. This was truly a visual spectacle in every sense. From the environments to Uta's performances and of course the fighting. We all love the fighting. All of it looked gorgeous on the big screen. So kudos to the hardworking people at Toei Animation who poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this movie. Their efforts paid off in spades, yo. Now let's talk about the main reason most of us wanted to go see this movie in the first place. Let's talk about the biggest, the main attraction, the main event of this movie. Red-haired Shanks. Oh my goodness, man. Look, as somebody who is a big fan of red-haired Shanks, as somebody who has waited years upon years for Shanks to do something. Shanks could pick up a pen and I will lose my mind. Alright. Shanks in this movie looked so godly, bro. Oh, like, look, I'm not even trying to fanboy right now. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to be as professional and as honest and as calm as possible. But when it's red-haired Shanks, it's Shanks. It's hard to be calm when it comes to Shanks. Shanks is one of the coolest characters in all of One Piece, and seeing him in this movie, it felt like a dream. I felt like I was in a dream and I was being lifted off my feet by the beautiful, the handsome, the stunning, the powerful red-haired Shanks. Do you guys understand how surreal it was to see red-haired Shanks actually fighting? I want to drive that point home. I want to hit you over the head with it like it's an anvil, okay? Red-haired Shanks actually fought in this movie. And what we seen from Shanks, it was nothing too crazy. It was more like an appetizer for what we're going to inevitably see from him in the actual canon story. But nonetheless, red-haired Shanks was about that business, baby. Oh my days. There was two scenes in particular where I jumped out of my seat in that theater. Actually, make that three scenes. The first of which was when Kizaru, I forget who he was trying to shoot. If you remember, you can just let me know in the comments below, but it escapes me. As he's powering up his attack, Shanks put his sword to this guy's neck and Kizaru hands up like, oh shit, I'm sorry, bro. My bad. Shanks bitched out an admiral on the big screen and it was so hype, man. If I could record the theater reaction to that, it was crazy. It was crazy. I love that. More Shanks gas, put that in my veins, man. The second scene is during the last 5 minutes or so of this movie. The Navy is still trying to get their hands on Uta, and Red-haired Shanks gets pissed off. He's like, no, bro, you can't have my daughter. You're not putting your hands on my daughter. He uses his color of the Supreme King. And oh man, this guy had vice admirals falling over. He had Fujitora sweating. Fujitora was sweating from Conqueror's Haki. It was impressive. It's up there with Shanks using his Conqueror's Haki against Ryokugyu at the end of Wano Country. It was just, I sound like a broken record player, but I'm gonna keep saying it because it's the truth. Red-haired Shanks is crazy. The feats we get from this guy time and time again in the story, in the series. Every time we see red-haired Shanks, he's blowing our minds. Red-haired Shanks is simply built different. There is no other way of putting it. And of course, the third scene. When Shanks and Luffy in Gear 5 did a combined attack against the Top Musica King Demon, whatever the hell it was, there is no possible way that I can articulate that scene and capture even a third of the hype and excitement. Following this story for as long as I have, to see Shanks and Luffy fighting side by side, even though they weren't technically side by side, Luffy was in Uta's fantasy music world and Shanks was in the actual living world. To see them fighting side by side like that, it was great. One Piece Film Red was everything I wanted. No, I'm a liar. I would have liked more Shanks. Now, granted, this is the most we've ever seen of Shanks in this movie here, right? But I would have liked a little bit more Shanks. Don't call this movie Film Red if it's not like 90% Shanks, but it's okay. I'm not bitter. I still like what we got. So, what is my final verdict for One Piece Film Red? This movie was fantastic. If you are a fan of One Piece, be it a new fan or an old fan, you owe it to yourself to go and catch this movie on the big screen. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for One Piece fans. I have the highest praise for One Piece Film Red. If I were to assign this movie a numerical number, 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10. This was a fun movie. This was an emotional movie, but it was a great movie indeed. I am the Dark King, Adonis, and this was your One Piece Film Red review. If you enjoyed this review, you know the drill, you know what to do. Hit the like button on your way out. If you, by some chance, are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe as well. Because when you do that, you're helping me and you're helping yourself because you are guaranteed One Piece and anime greatness alike into your feed weekly. That being said, I will catch you good people later. Y'all be easy.